Hello, my name is Russell Grigg, and I'm one of the main authors of entrecompedu, and I'm going to talk about the principle of supporting reflection, thinking flexibly, and learning from experience. In this presentation, I'm going to cover 4 basic questions. Firstly, what is the principle about? Secondly, why is it important? Next, how can we develop reflection, thinking flexibly, and learning from experience? And finally, where can entrecompedu help you? Reflection has been defined in different ways, but at a basic level it involves thinking carefully about a problem, describing it, considering how it might be resolved, asking questions of oneself, and considering alternatives. There are different levels of reflection. One simple model is to suggest that at a basic level it's describing what happened, then it's about evaluating what's worked well and not so well, and finally it's about reflecting at a critical level. What's the big picture? What are the values underpinning the practice? Suppose students are reflecting on the launch of a new t-shirt range. At a simple level, they might describe what happened, for example, initial interest. They then might think about particular strengths and areas for development based on customer feedback. And finally, they might look at the bigger picture, that is, sustainability issues and the values that t-shirts are promoting. The second element of this principle is thinking flexibly, which means looking at things in a different way and considering the options available. Another way of describing such flexibility is to consider divergent thinking, which in essence is about considering alternative solutions to a problem, to not necessarily settle on the first answer that is immediately available. It is important to stress that such divergent thinking or flexibility can be promoted in all settings, that is, whether you are working with primary age children or in vocational contexts with older students. As well as reflection and thinking flexibly, learning from experience is important to this principle. This describes how we gain new knowledge, skills and understanding through trial and error as we engage with the world. This is an important principle because taking time to reflect and mull things over, to ask questions such as how and why, are central experiences in being entrepreneurial. It actually leads to more efficient and effective ways of working. We can apply this principle anytime, any place, and anywhere. Walking, for example, is one of the most creative exercises that we can engage in. The late Steve Jobs and other innovators have arranged walking meetings as part of their business approach, and many ideas have come from the simple act of going for a walk. Take the famous story of George de Mestral, who in 1941, on a dog walk, noticed how tiny burrs from the burdock plant stuck to his dog's hair. This was the inspiration for the company Velcro, but he needed persistence because the idea didn't go to market until the 1960s. To promote this principle in practice, it's important to ensure that students have something clear to focus upon in their reflection. In other words, it has a context. They can record their thoughts using sticky notes, index cards, or other written forms. Keeping a reflective diary, journal, or a sketch pad is also a very useful way of recording observations and spotting opportunities. Doodling is also a very powerful form of reflection. It improves focus, memory, and enables us to grasp new concepts. In fact, researchers in America have shown there are many thinking benefits from the act of doodling. There are lots of frameworks you can use to support students' reflection. A 3-question approach such as what, so what, and now what is a very simple example. Suppose your students worked as a marketing team for a biscuit company and were reviewing the performance of their team and product. They might use the what question to think about communication tools. The so what might make them think about whether they added value to customers. And the now what might lead them to think about their next steps. As educators, you might find Brookfield's model very helpful for reflection. So, for example, you might compare what students think about a project with those thoughts of an external person, such as a business representative. You might then look at your thoughts and compare to researchers' views. This idea of comparative reflection can be taken up by students. Suppose they were proposing a new student cafe. They could discuss their views as a group, compare it with what others say online, and also what research and experts have to say. Learning from experience calls for both ourselves and our students to think back and be open-minded and honest about our actions and decisions. A useful technique is I used to think, now I think, developed by Harvard University. Try to model this technique with students. So a simple example might be to think about entrepreneurship. It may be that you used to think that entrepreneurship was all about business and limited to industries such as banking and commerce and retail. Perhaps, having completed the modules in entrecompedu, you've come to the realization that entrepreneurship is not just about banking and commerce, etc., that it is open to all subjects and all ages and can operate in all aspects of our lives.